What are y'all thoughts on these quote unquote terror attacks that we've been seeing across the United States since the New Year's? It was a report that a gentleman, I think he plowed into a crowd, former military member from Houston, plowed into a crowd of individuals on New Year's Eve down in New Orleans. I don't know how many people got hurt and killed, but I do want to say thoughts and prayers out to their family. Um, it's a wild world we're living in. I don't know what y'all optics are on this. Do y'all have any thoughts about it? Do y'all think this was a quote unquote terror attack?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was, but I think that with that, it's just kind of state of the world, man. Where I think you just never get rid of that. There's so many layers to hate, and information is unavoidable. Some of the hate at times, so I think it's just going to be something that's always going to be prevalent. To be honest, but definitely terror. I mean, when you attack, kill, try and harm people who don't even know you, that you don't even know, just for the sake of doing it, absolutely, absolutely a terrorist attack.
Tay, you got any thoughts on that, my brother?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's a terrorist attack. I also think, man, we got a culture of that here. It's like everybody feel like, they cornered the market on teaching people and got the wisdom and the knowledge and all that. I mean, you can see it from a Facebook post, and it's just an extreme version of that itself. Like, it ain't a Facebook post, somebody just spouting out their opinion, but essentially he's trying to send some sort of message that he feel like he entitled to give to the world by taking such an extreme action. And it's just weird. Like, why is that such a prevalent thing for American culture? Why is that the method that he chose to use to give his message? And like, you see it on social media, like, we ain't supposed to know everything somebody thinks. Just the same way you see this guy obviously let out what was in his mind to do some crazy things and felt like he was going to change the world in some sort of way. It's just weird. Like, I don't get it.
I kind of get it being former military, because when you kind of get a peek behind that veil and see what our country actually operates like, I've been in the federal government since I was 21 years old, and it's when you get a peek behind that veil, you see the evils and the nonsense of what we call liberty and freedoms and giving democracy to the rest of the world, and you realize it's kind of BS. It kind of radicalizes you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're a person of color, because I believe this gentleman that did this crime was a person of color. And when you see like the evils of America, and you see how our people are treated here, and then the way we treat or the rest of the world, because I won't call them a minority, but the way we treat other countries and everything like that, it can kind of radicalize you. Because I've heard veterans say some of the most outlandish stuff when it comes to, especially black veterans, when it comes to things in this country. Not now, mind you, I'm treading lightly because we're on YouTube, so I don't want to say exactly what I've heard them say, but it's when it comes to race relations and things like that in this country, I've heard some veterans say some wild things, and it's all, and you would think that they would have a different point of view because they served so much time in the service, but they got the license to kill, they got the training to kill, and when it comes to what they gonna do to protect their beliefs and their ideology and their families, I've seen some people willing to go to some extreme levels. Just being talking to veterans and being around veterans the majority of my life. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand the radicalization of the mind and why people would want to go there, because like you said, they actually think they're gonna change something. We in this era of self-expression. As you spoke about social media and Twitter, Facebook, and all this type of stuff. So people feel like they have to get that out in some type of way, and then you also see the amount of press these terrorist acts, these domestic terrorist acts, all that stuff. You see how much press it gets, and your name is pretty much cemented in history. So that's another reason, especially if people feel like they ain't got nothing else to lose.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, that
sense though.
makes sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad world we live in, man. And like I said, it's as long as America continues to be a military superpower and treat the rest of the world a certain way, I think this is going to be this is something that we're going to continue to have to deal with. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that the American people are the ones that got to deal with it. But if you look at the situation over in Gaza, if you look at Syria, if you look at all these different places, warfare is ugly, and this is the cost of it. We are kind of in a state in America where we don't have to experience it firsthand, so we look at it like, it's not that big a deal until something like this happen, and then you really get to see the ramifications of ideology and warfare and what people actually think.
Yeah, I think we all live under the illusion. Like I'm not under the illusion that being an American citizen puts me in some sort of moral authority, right? In order for me to enjoy this peace and this freedom that's in our country, right? Some hands had to get very dirty, right? Some people who I might think was a hero for our country is absolutely the villain to another country.
Mm-hmm.
And I really understand that. I grasp that concept. So like when I'm seeing that, I'm like, yeah, like, no, this person was believing a certain ideology. They got over there, that veil got ripped off. That's the same thing about becoming an adult. When you first realize, man, your parents didn't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They gave you what they could, but they didn't have all the answers. And as you adult more and more and more, you start to realize how little you know about the world at large. And I think, obviously this gentleman, whatever was going on through his head, like that veil got ripped off, man. He couldn't unsee it. He couldn't shake it, and felt convicted to be so extreme. It's just unfortunate all of those other people had to lose their lives. And now some people unrelated to the ability to change that mission, they'll never see the world the same either. Those kids, those family members, whoever, we're all a part of losing someone because of his actions.
Yeah, and this is a huge reason why I think conversation is important, because it offers perspectives. Because a lot of things where people think that they are right, they are 100% wrong. All your beliefs aren't based in fact a lot of the times. You know what I mean? A lot of your beliefs can be contradicted with facts. So, because I've seen a lot of people, man, that are conspiracy theorists that do the YouTube videos and the TikTok videos. I've seen it from white coworkers. I've seen it from black people. I've seen it from everybody, and they get radicalized, and they have these weird, outlandish QAnon type views. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, man, how do you believe this? And it's just because they're constantly in the realm of consuming that media, or whether it's video, reading a book or something that just has them in that mindset, and they don't have nobody saying, hey man, what you're reading is messed up. So you have to. I think that's why it's important for people to get out and have different conversations, because then you ain't so radicalized. Some people are just so lost in the sauce it ain't no changing them, and some people can be, once you get around the right group of people and have the right type of conversation, they can be talked off of a ledge. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I think this is why a lot of people need to have conversations and get out their communities and learn more about people overall. I think a lot of the radicalization of humans can be fixed because of that. You know what I mean? That's why I think it's a horrible idea to alienate people. I've always been the type of person to have friends of every race, color, and creed, and I've never been the type of person that just close myself off from the experience of another person or self-segregate. I like to get to know people, because I want to know what's on your mind, what makes you tick,
Right. Even dealing with the people who buy into all the conspiracy theories and Illuminati this and that and the third, like, my question is always like, what you gonna do about it? Like, besides make this post and tell me that such and such celebrity is a part of that, like, what is going to be done about it? Right? It's just unfortunate that sometimes the people who do decide to do something, they do the terrorist act, or they're just basically making some post over and over. Like, can we find that medium ground? Can we organize some? Can we find something that's more productive? And I don't know what that thing is, so I won't pretend like I know what it is, but is there a way to address whatever that negativity that they believe in a manner that's actually effective? And that just requires a certain sense of unity and camaraderie among people. But generally the people who believe that, they kind of loners, they kind of off to their own. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we see it a lot in our community. When you say people are kind of loners with this, and I'm treading lightly here because I am pro-black, but but with this black radicalization, because you see people who are talking like everything is back in the '60s, or that there's gatekeepers who stopping us from achieving a certain level of success, when really it's not. It's a lot less gatekeepers than it was, you know what I'm saying, 40 years ago. So anything that's holding you back from your success is really just your own, because we in the information era. Now, if you can't get to a bag, it's probably something that you're not doing correct. It ain't really no gatekeepers or your neighbor saying, hey man, I don't want you going to this school, I don't want you in this neighborhood or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's probably something that you're not doing correct. So if you know, a lot of us get in this state where we start reading all these historic facts and everything, and be like, oh man, that's how I feel, or it might seem similar when I say this all the time: a person next door to you making $90,000 a year, they ain't stopping you from going to make the same amount of money. You know what I mean? They ain't even in the position to stop you. And I'm talking about white people. If you're in a white neighborhood, they ain't in the position to stop you from getting your bread. They ain't coming and burning no cross on your lawn like it was going on in the civil rights era and everything like that. So we need to focus less on that and focus on how do we get to our level of success that we want to see.
Yeah, if I can blame somebody, then I don't have to take accountability for the fact that I'm lazy, that I'm sitting on my hands.
Yeah.
Like, if you broke and you could tell me about your favorite TV show, like, yeah, then you should be broke. Right? Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like, you talking about, racism, this and that. We buy into anything that make us a victim, and that's why we easily preyed upon. And we easily preyed upon by our own people at that, because everything is a victim. You know, if I hear Umar tell me that that the real reason I can't make it or got the education or emotional acuity or whatever it is, because some white people took something or stopped me from getting or whatever it is, like, then that makes it easy. I can go ahead and say, see, it ain't really my fault. Back in the day, the old people used to say, the devil don't want you to do, and the devil done made, like, man, you should have filled out that paper and sent that back 3 weeks ago. Like, quit playing with these folks. That wasn't the devil, that was you.
That was your full ass.
You know what it is? It's exactly what Tay said. And the reality is that it's so much easier to say what you would do if you was in the game versus you working hard enough to actually be in the game. And you see everybody talking about credit repair online, and all the advice and every step it's everything under the sun except pay them people their money. I'm just sitting here like, bruh, you want to send this later and then like every loophole there is versus, hey, call T-Mobile and get them that $150.
Mm-hmm. Pay your goddamn
bills.
But
instead of that, we want to, just take advantage when sometimes we just got to understand, man, you got to go through the fire. It is what it is. And more times than not, especially when you talk about, financial literacy, all that stuff and debt and all that, hey, you may not be able to get out of it as quick as you got into it. And that's okay. You may go, I lost my train of thought, but you may max that card out in one weekend for Christmas.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to pay. You ain't gonna be able to pay it off in January just because you manifested it.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, that interest gonna be a little discouraging. You gonna have to go through the fire.
I believe they say, like, once you max a credit card out, like a $10,000 credit card, if you max that out, I think they said to take, like, making minimum payment, it could take like 10 to 20 years to pay that off.
You'll die.
Yeah,
you'll die before that's paid off.
Yeah, it's something to that nature, and I think that's a very valid point that you said. Like, we do a lot of that blame, like I said, placing the blame on somebody, but when really it's the mistakes that we made. We made the bed. Now you got to lay in it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta bust your ass to get up out of that debt.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's why the Derek Jacksons of the world, and like, we just easily preyed upon, because like we always looking for it to be somebody else's fault, some sort of escapism. Like, man, it was racism, and we taking this action because of slavery and we doing this. Like, yeah, but at a certain point, man, we just got to want to take control of our lives. And that's just got to be the narrative among our people. Like, are we affected by things that happened in the past? Are there some barriers that we face? Absolutely. But one thing I always want my kids to focus on is what it is that you can control.
Hey, pay them people their money. And I do identify as a victim because there's a few people on Facebook I done sent $100 to in need. They don't even like my pictures no more. Man, go ahead and keep that little $100. God bless you. I ain't worried about it. Like and subscribe, and we call it good.
Hey, think about this though. Like, hey, dog. If all it takes is $100 to keep them away from you, bro, they probably need to be around you in the first place.
That part. Hey, man, some of y'all done send $100, then try to look out and assist. Hey, man, go on at least like and subscribe. Hey, I ain't mad at you about that $100. But yeah, that's what we do. Pay people that money back, man. You borrow that money, pay it.
Facts. But I think that should be what did you say earlier, bro? I think you said something about fixing our problem. I said that should be our thing going in 2025. Like, how can you solve, instead of worrying about the problems that you have, how can you fix it? Like that, just fix your problems, because that's gonna be something that you're gonna need to do for these years, man. Because I'm telling you, if y'all thought 2024 was bad, and in 2024, it was a lot of money being made out here. The stock market was going crazy, everything. If y'all think 2024 was bad, wait till y'all see what 2025 have in store for you. Especially if your ducks ain't in a row. Especially if your ducks ain't in a row. So you better get your ducks in a row, fam. That should be ducks in a row. Should be the slogan for 2025.
Yeah.
We done told a couple of our employees, hey, you can come and tell us what the problem is, but the same thing, you better come with a solution too. Otherwise, you just complaining at that point.
Right. Yeah, man. So, like I said, thoughts and prayers out to the families of this terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans, because that was what started us on this this conversation. So, yeah, I like the way that the political leadership in New Orleans handled that. They was on the news like 90 going north. Every last one of them, mayor, governor, police chief, everything, sheriff, all that, kind of guaranteeing the people of New Orleans their safety with the bowl that was being played the next day. So shout out to them. I like to see that presence. Like I said, that was inspiring, because you seldom do you see that. It's just a couple people making remarks, but with something of that nature, I think they did the right thing with all the political officials being there of every race, political affiliation, and background. I thought that was really dope.